Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about lineality. Specifically, we're going to be talking about patrilineality or patrilineal descent, and we're going to be illustrating that with a kinship diagram. Alright, so as usual, we're going to begin with a rectangle here named ego. That could be your point of contact, or it could be you. And we're going to say that you descended from a father and mother. And I'm doing the mother in a different color for reasons that will be clear as I continue. Most anthropologists would not be color coding their kinship diagram like this. You'd be scribbling it down real quick in a field notebook, and you'd be using the same pencil or the same pen. So I'm doing this for your benefit, the viewer, and well, you'll see why in a minute. So, okay, let's say the father has a sister and a brother. We'll say the mother also has a sister and a brother. The mother and her sister and brother all come from a pair, mother, father. And the father and his brother and sister all come from a mated pair, mother and father. Okay. Now, in a patrilineal descent system, your mother and father are still considered your mother and father. However, your mom's family are not considered your relatives. So your mother's sister, who in our society would be your maternal aunt, in a patrilineal society, she is not considered to be related to you at all. That is simply another woman of the same family that your father got your mother from. And the same thing with your mother's brother. In our society, in a bilineal descent system, that would be the maternal uncle. But in a patrilineal descent system, he's not your relative at all. That just happens to be a dude from the family that your father got your mother from. Now, of course, in a patrilineal society, your father's sister is still your your father's sister is still your paternal aunt, and your father's brother is still your paternal. Well, actually, your father's sister would be your only aunt. Your only aunt, not even paternal, just your aunt. And your father's brother would be your uncle. There is actually no need to distinguish paternal from maternal, because your what we would consider your maternal relatives aren't related to you. So your father's sister is not your paternal aunt; she's just your aunt. And your father's brother is not your paternal uncle; he's just your uncle. Same thing with grandparents. Your father's parents are just grandparents. They're not paternal grandparents. They're just grandparents. And again, your mother's parents, who in our culture would be your maternal grandparents, that is not so in a matrilineal or in a patrilineal society. In a patrilineal society, your mother's parents are, again, just people who happen to be in the same family that your father got your mother from, his wife. Um, so yeah, and it's really not much more complicated than that. With matrilineal societies, we have situations where the mother's brother is really more of a father figure, or the mother's sister is also considered a mother. But in a patrilineal society, we don't run into any real differences like that. It's simply that the mother's relatives aren't related to you. So let's say your mother's brother, um, your mother's brother meets someone, and let's say they have some kids together. Let's say a daughter and a son. Well, because they're not considered related to you, because your mother's brother is not your uncle. Um, you, if you're male, um, you could marry this person over here, your mother's brother's daughter. And if you're female, you could marry your mother's brother's son without any problem. They would not be considered your first cousins, like in a bilineal descent system or in a matrilineal descent system. They just simply aren't relatives at all. Whereas if your if your father's brother were to marry a woman, and it's getting kind of squished over there, and they were to have children, let's say a daughter and a son, well, they would be your first cousins, just like in a bilineal descent system. So you wouldn't be able to marry them. If you were a woman, you couldn't marry your father's brother's son, and if you were a male, you couldn't marry your father's brother's daughter, because they're your first cousins. But your relatives on or what we in a bilineal descent system would consider to be your relatives on your mother's side, in a patrilineal society, they're not your relatives. So these people over here are what they call fair game, right there. There's no genetic, or well, there's still obviously a genetic relationship. Obviously, if you go back far enough, any humans are related, but that's not considered a meaningful genetic relationship in a patrilineal society. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, don't forget to check out my website at djohnscott.com, and also the science website that I webmaster at genesispanthesis.org. And yeah, that's it for now. So hope y'all have a good one, and peace out.